Ladies and gentlemen, we are now to perform a play about the French Revolution, one of the most important and influential events of world history. The first scene takes place at Versailles, in the palace of the French king, Louis XVI. The king is meeting with his wife, Queen Marie Antoinette, and his finance minister, Jacques Necker. The year is 1789, and they're discussing the economic crisis that France is in the midst of.
Your Highness, my king, the royal finances are in terrible shape. The nation's debts are rising higher and higher. We must cut expenses and demand that all three estates pay taxes. It's the only way to put the budget in order.
This is preposterous. Cut royal expenses, tax nobility, preposterous.
True, our finances are in terrible shape. My predecessor, Louis XIV, dreadfully mismanaged our money, and our loans to the Americans to help them fight against England did not help matters.
So true, Your Highness. We must tax the nobility and the clergy and cut back on the royal expenditures.
How dare you? We are the king and queen of France. We rule in the name of God. How dare you tell us we should spend the wealth that is our due?
My queen, I beg your pardon, but the people are very angry. There are many who say that your life of luxury is a slap in the face to the French people.
Outrageous. You forget yourself, sir. Such talk is treacherous.
I will hear no more of this. I am the king. The people must accept their burdens without complaint. It is the will of God. Enough of such talk, I say.
Recognizing France's severe financial problems, King Louis XVI calls for a meeting of the representatives of the three estates, known as the Estates General. This assembly has not met since 1614. Leaders such as Sieyès and de Mirabeau speak passionately. Their words are inspired by Enlightenment ideas and by the example of the recent and successful American Revolution.
Gentlemen, the French people can no longer suffer unfair debts and taxes. Why should the people suffer when the nobility continue to enjoy their special privileges?
Yes, good de Mirabeau, and the government continues to interfere with our businesses. Let us not forget the words of the great philosopher Rousseau. Man is born free, but everywhere he is in chains.
Yes, nor let us not forget the great achievement of our brothers in America, who resisted tyranny and set King George packing.
Yes, I witnessed firsthand the works of revolution in America.
Indeed! Where would they have been without our support? If we can help the Americans gain their freedom, then we can do the same.
We must form a national assembly where the voice of the people can be heard.
Yes, and we must write a constitution.
A constitution which recognizes rights for all men and freedom.
Yes! A national assembly! A constitution!
The people of France remain frustrated by King Louis XVI's handling of the country's financial crisis and lack of leadership at the Estates General. King Louis XVI fires his finance minister Jacques Necker, which enrages the people and sends troops into Paris to maintain order. The people, in anger, arm themselves and storm a prison called the Bastille to secure gunpowder. The mob overruns and kills the guards of the Bastille and parades governor of the prison's head on a pike. The French Revolution has begun. By 1791, a new constitution has been written, making France a constitutional monarchy. The king and his royalist supporters are outraged by this limit on the king's power. They begin plotting to restore the king's full powers. The constitution also creates a new legislature, but restricts the right to vote to middle and upperclassmen who own property. This angers some radical leaders called Jacobins, who want to extend democratic rights to everyone. Around the city of Paris, the Jacobins meet to discuss France's future. Men such as Robespierre, Danton, Saint-Just, and Marat lead them.
Citizens, the king and queen are plotting against a revolution. We must be on guard.
Robespierre is right. There are rumors that Marie Antoinette is communicating with the King of Prussia and the Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire, asking them to invade France and overturn our revolution.
These are dangerous times. What is our National Assembly doing to protect our revolution?
Good question, Danton. The assembly members are nothing but a group of bourgeois and noble dogs. They do not care at all about the rights of the common people.
Marat is right. Only men that own property are allowed to vote.
Disgraceful.
Citizens, I have amazing news. The king and his family have been arrested as they were trying to flee France to join our enemies. And there is more. King Leopold and King Frederick Wilhelm have threatened to invade France and restore absolute monarchy.
It is a counter-revolution.
Our enemies are ready to pounce on us.
The National Assembly will not protect the revolution. We must abolish it.
We must form a national convention, a new government that represents the common people.
We must write a new constitution, one that ensures the rights of people.
We must abolish the monarchy.
We must declare a republic.
Yes, a republic.
The king cannot be allowed to organize his supporters. He must be put to death.
We must declare war against our foreign enemies.
Louis to the guillotine.
Death to the king! Long live the republic!
The king and queen of France are both eventually sent to the guillotine and beheaded.
Off with his head! Death to the queen!
It is 1792. The Jacobins form a national convention, but real power is held by a group of 12 Jacobins on the Committee of Public Safety. Civil war soon breaks out between Republicans and Royalists. The new Republic of France creates a new calendar and the metric system of measurements, abolishes imprisonment for death, and eliminates slavery in the French colonies. At the same time, the Committee of Public Safety begins ordering the deaths of thousands of people whom it considers enemies of the Republic. This time of suspicion and mass murder is known as the Reign of Terror. The terror increases in its intensity after a noble woman assassinates the popular leader, Marat. Soon, the committee's leader, Robespierre, turns the violence upon committee members themselves.
Sanju, my friend, the way in which Danton was speaking was outrageous. He clearly wishes to compromise with our enemies.
Yes, Robespierre, he is calling for an end to the terror. He might as well ask us to surrender to our enemies.
He is a great danger to the revolution. If he is allowed to divide the committee, our enemies will surely take advantage.
He must be arrested.
He must be put to death.
We have no choice.
Yes, justice and virtue demand no less.
By 1795, France is at war with the kingdoms of Europe. Soon, the French people turn against the Committee of Public Safety. Robespierre is arrested and guillotined. The next day, his friend Sanju is also beheaded. The National Convention creates a new constitution, one even less democratic than the National Assembly's constitution. From 1795 to 1799, the people of France still suffer as war against the royalist nations of Europe continues. By 1799, the French people long for a strong leader who will put an end to their suffering. A victorious general named Napoleon Bonaparte seizes power and becomes first consul of the Republic. In 1802, he is elected consul for life, and in 1804, he becomes Emperor of France. His armies win victory after victory, until Napoleon controls most of Europe. But in 1812, Napoleon faces a new challenge.
My people, let us pause a moment to consider the great benefits our victories have brought to Europe. We have abolished feudal privileges and eliminated serfdom. We have created a system of more equal taxation. We have given every man the right to vote. We have guaranteed freedom of religion, but perhaps our greatest achievement is the code of laws we have put in place throughout Europe. I am honored that some people refer to these laws as the Napoleonic Code. It really means a lot to me. We have created equality under the law and guaranteed habeas corpus, the right to a fair trial, and the right to be represented by counsel. What's more, under our code, a person is innocent until proven guilty. But my loyal subjects, our enemies are still trying to undo the great achievements of the revolution. Our one-time friend, Russia, has now declared war against us. But with your support, I shall lead our armies into Russia and on to victory. We must put an end, once and for all, to those who wish to restore the tyrannies of kings. Long live the French Empire!
Long live the French Empire!
Napoleon leads his army 500 miles into Russia, all the way to the city of Moscow. But all they find there is a burning city, set on fire by the Russians themselves so that its resources will now fall into French hands. Now Napoleon's army, short of supplies, has to retreat hundreds of miles through a bitter Russian winter. A large part of Napoleon's army dies from cold, starvation, and disease. As a result of this famous defeat, the European powers unite against Napoleon. In 1814, Napoleon is defeated and captured. In France, monarchy is restored and Louis XVIII is made the new king. Despite this restoration of monarchy, the memory and example of the French Revolution and its cry of liberty, equality, and fraternity lives on to inspire revolutionaries throughout the 18th and 19th and 20th centuries. Recognizing France's severe financial problems, King Louis XVI
suffer under unfair. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
The voice of the people can be heard.
Yes. And we must write. What the heck?
Action. A counter-revolution.
Rolling.
It is a counter-revolution.
Rolling action.
It is a No, now redo it.
Off with his head.